Hello Blender community, my name is Omar Ramirez, and today I want to show you guys how to properly skin a character with Blender 2.5. Now, the reason why I'm making this tutorial is because while working on my low poly hipster girl, which you guys can find and might have seen on blenderartists.org, in the process of skinning this character and rigging her, I wanted to search for some tutorials on how to do it, and I realized that at least for 2.5 there are no good tutorials on the matter, and it seems that at least no one that has been able or willing to publish it has found any good workflow for it. So after 2 days fiddling around with the software, I came up with a good workflow, I think, and I want to share it with you guys, so as to give back to the community. And here is what I found. Okay, now first thing we need to do is select our mesh. Now, by the way, every keystroke I make will appear in this part of the screen. You can see A for select all and deselect all. So yeah, you select the mesh, then the armature. Now, I'm not going to go into details of how to properly make an armature, but I'm sure, because I've seen them, that there are many good tutorials on the matter everywhere on the net. So yeah, maybe I will do one on making bones, but this time is just not that time. Okay, I hit Ctrl P to parent the mesh to the armature, and I have some options. Now, automatic weights means that the mesh will be assigned to the bones automatically in vertex groups and will be weighted automatically by some mathematical thing or whatever. Yeah, envelope weights is a way. Well, first of all, every bone has an envelope. You can see it in the armature properties. You choose envelope and you see how here's this white area, which is the reach of the bone to the mesh. Okay, and I don't want that stick again, so yeah, I hit empty groups because I just want a vertex group for each of my bones. I don't always want this, but it is quite convenient, and I hit that. Okay, empty groups. Now, even though I have not assigned any weight just yet, I select my armature, I hit Ctrl Tab to go into pose mode, which you can also do here on this menu, and I select a bone and move it, and you will see that the mesh is already moving. This is because the envelope weights are at work here. What we do is we select the mesh, go to the modifiers panel, and we uncheck the bone envelope checkbox. This way, when I move my armature, it doesn't move the mesh just yet. Now, after selecting my bone in pose mode, I select my mesh, I go into edit mode, and what I will do, take into account that I'm using this bone right here for the arm, and first we have to understand the hierarchy of our armature. This is the first bone in the hierarchy of the arm, and this other bone here, which you can see, follows on that hierarchy. What we want to do is take all the vertices, again in edit mode, all the vertices that will be assigned at 100% to that bone, and also to every other bone following in the hierarchy. So we select all of the arm from the tips of the fingers up to here, and on the Vertex Groups tab, I select the arm L, which is this bones group, and making sure the weight here is 1, I hit assign. Now when I go to weight paint mode, again by tab and then Ctrl tab, or in this menu, I will see now that these vertices are red. If I hit C, you can see the wireframe, and this means that these vertices are assigned to this bone, and if I move it, the vertices move along with it. Now, I don't only want these vertices to be assigned to this, so I paint, I go up and see that the weight is 1. I make sure that auto normalize is not selected, because although it is good for subtracting, it can be really bad if you are not careful. So okay, a weight of 1, I make sure my strength is all the way up so I don't have a gradient, and I start painting, and this turn red just as well. Paint this. Okay. Now these ones here that are nearer to the joint, I want to make it only 0.5, which is 50% assigned to this bone, and when I paint them, you will see that they become green rather than red. This is because they are only assigned at 50% to that bone. I paint this. Now, this weight is not the best weight you could have for the shoulder area, but it will have to suffice for the purposes of this tutorial. These ones I want at 0.25, and they become a light blue. Yeah, okay. Now, one would think that if I rotate this bone, the red ones, the red vertices, will follow the bone 100%, while these ones will follow 50% and these ones at only 25%. But if I rotate it, you will see that that is just not true. Now, this is weird, but it has a really simple explanation. Weight painting or skinning needs to be a subtractive method, a subtractive process. That means that we need to go all the way up to the hierarchy, and I know the root bone is the root, the very top of my hierarchy. So what I will do is go into edit mode with tab and hit A twice to select all, and I will make sure weight is to 1, and I will assign everything to the root group. Now when I go back to weight paint mode, I see that everything has turned red, but if I go back to arm left group, I'll see that nothing has changed. Now what will happen is that the weights here will now matter, and you see that the red parts are moving entirely, while the other parts, the green and the blue ones, are moving less and less. Now you will also notice that moving right now the mesh on the arm only follows halfway through. If I go 45 degrees, you will see that only halfway has been made, and if I continue, you will see that the arm will shrink and shrink and shrink until it just disappears. This can be prevented by going to the modifiers tab and in the armature modifier selecting this checkbox, preserve volume. Okay, we do that. We now see that the arm keeps its size and volume. Now I hit this. What I need to do now is subtract this group, the arm left group, from the root group, so that the influence this one has is 100%, and root has no influence over it whatsoever. Why is this? Well, if I go into edit mode and I select a vertex that is shared in those two vertex groups, I will see in the N panel by clicking N that in vertex groups tab you see arm has a 1 and root has a 1 influence just as well. This is because in Blender vertex groups are not only used for the purpose of weighting the character, they are also used for all sorts of things, particles and whatnot. So you will see here a button that says normalize, and what normalize does is that it brings the values down to 1 proportionally. So if I hit normalize, I will see that arm L will be down to 0.5 and root will do just the same. I hit normalize and you see that that's exactly what happens. I undo that because it doesn't serve our purpose right now. But what we want to do is go back to weight bin mode, and with this bone selected and this weight group, vertex group, sorry, selected, I go down here in the tools panel to weight tools, and you see here a normalize button and a normalize all button. Now these buttons are kind of dangerous, so you should be careful using them, and I will explain why in just a minute. But if I hit this normalize all, I will see now that my mesh follows the bone 100% of the way. If I go to the root group, I will see that the arm L group has been subtracted from it. But that's because I have this checkbox selected normalize all. If I didn't, I'd see in arm L group everything is green, just as the same in root it is green for 50%. I hit this and it's just fine. But this is dangerous, as I said, because if I forget, let's undo, okay, everything is back to normal now. If I forgot to do this, I will hit Alt R to reset the rotations, and let's say I forgot to normalize this group and I went on and made this other group, okay. So I select this vertices right here and I assign 100% to this, okay. Now I will normalize this one group, having forgotten to normalize this one first and this one just as well. So I hit normalize all, lock active, and everything looks as though it's okay. But if you go to the arm L group, you will see that these vertices are now green, and in root group you will see just the same. Now what happens with this? What happens is that this one bone is just okay, but this one, if I move it, deforms just horribly. Okay, so we need to be careful with this. I undo, and now I'm back to this. I do normalize this, lock active, and it is just fine, as we saw. I go and do this one, in edit mode I select all these vertices all the way to here, and aside from the weight bin mode, you can also assign weight by hitting assign here at 1. I want this edge loop to, that I do with alt right click, select this edge loop Z so you can see better. I assign at 100%. This 3 I will assign at 0.75. This edge loop at 0.5, and this 3 to 0.25. Okay, and if I go back to weight paint mode, you will see that it is now applied. Now, if we try this, you will see that it deforms okay, but the same thing happens. I only have the arm following halfway through. So we will normalize this group. I go here to normalize all, lock active, and I click anywhere on the 3D viewport, and now it is just fine, and it has been subtracted from the group before it, just as the same as in roots, which has no influence over them whatsoever. Now, when I have finished all of my left or right side, depending on what you want to do, I'd recommend going for positive X, which is the left side of the character, your right side from where you see it. I thought, and allow me to Alt-R this so it will go back to its position. I thought that we had to do this twice, one for each side of the character, but fiddling around with the software, I realized there are some tools that allow us not to have to do this. What we need to do is go to edit mode. We will first just erase these two vertex groups, which are for the right side of the mesh. We erase them, okay, and what we will do is with V select all of the right side of the mesh, careful not to go through to the other side, and to not select the vertices on the center of the model. I make sure everything is okay, and what I want to do now is click this arrow here and select mirror vertex group. And what this did, and you will see in just a moment, is that everything that we selected got everything that was on the other side of the x-axis mirrored to itself. So if I go to weight paint mode, you will see now that my groups are mirrored to the other side. This one too, just as well as this one. This makes all of the work that we did on this side just be transferred to this side. What we need to do now is duplicate each of the groups for the left side of the mesh. I copy this with copy vertex group. I rename it so it will be named just as the bone that it will be assigned to. Copy and R. Okay. Now they are just the same as the groups they came from. What we will do is go again into edit mode, select all of the left side of the mesh again. I make sure everything is okay, and with the left side groups selected, I hit remove and remove. If I go back to weight paint mode, you will see that they are back to normal. They are back to being just for the left side and the left side, while root is just intact because we didn't remove anything from it. Now arm R and forearm R are just as they were, and what we will do is just the same, but for the other side we select the right side of the mesh, it is okay, yep. And we will do just the same for the other side. Arm right, remove, forearm R, remove. And we see now that they are just mirrored and ready to function. If I take any of these bones and move it, you will see that they move just right. There's a little error that happens and keeps happening with this, which is that the leftmost, or the rightmost rather, vertex doesn't get assigned to where it should. in edit mode, I see that root has still 100% influence over it, so I will turn that down to 0. I will select the forearm group, which is this bone here, and I will assign at weight 1. And now you see that it works just fine. Okay, this way you will have better deformations than if you just had used the automatic weights. You can see like this that it moves just fine. So yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to it. I hope this tutorial was useful for you guys. You can see all of my work on my webpage, which is EKLQ for eclectic, eklq.net. If you guys like this tutorial, I might just consider making some other tutorials on other topics, but for now I just wanted to contribute this to the community, since I really think this can make the work of many people just easier. So yeah, I hope you liked it, and see you later. Bye.